Stacy. It really helps all of us wake up spiritually and get ready to receive. Before I'm going to teach today, we have Suzanne Brown who will come up and she's going to share a testimony that the Lord has put on her life and on her heart. And most of you know Suzanne. She has been a very dear friend of mine since Saunders and Brinkley were in preschool together when they were in 1-year-old. 1-year-old.
Two or 3 year old.
It was a long, long time ago. We won't count it.
They're 23 now. Who
But
cares?
yeah, over 2 decades. And Suzanne is just one of my dearest friends, prayer partners, has been through the valleys and the mountaintops with this family here under this roof. And I just love you so much. And let's all give Suzanne a round of applause as she comes up to share her heart. Is that okay?
I'm not used to it, but I will.
Or is that a curveball? A little bit.
It's all right. All right.
You sure?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Okay. I'll forget the water. Becca May asked me to do this, and I was like, well, she saw my video, 108 Day Bible, and that's why she's calling. And I thought, this is easy. I will just do what I said on the video. You know, I already got it figured out. Well, then Mary Clayton on the first cut 2 weeks ago says, had everybody raise their hand who's doing the 180 Day Bible. Over half the room raised their hand. I was like, crap, they already heard my story. And I'm sitting over there at the table, and I start processing that. I'm like, well, what am I going to talk about? And I was like, no, Lord, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. And then I thought of this component that tied it all together, and I was like, okay. So he won. And here we go. And this first part, I'm going to compartmentalize it. And one thing, I'm going to do something that I learned not to do during this whole process is compartmentalize your feelings is when you delay, like delay grieving, you delay something that if it bubbles up, you need to really hit it on. And in this case, I'm not trying to delay anything. I just want to tell my story matter-of-factly and then do the sharing afterwards. Because it's pretty heavy. Okay. April of last year, my sister Cheryl passed away. She was 10 years older than me. She just didn't wake up. And she was in great health. She had worked out the night before, not overweight. And so, you know, we were shocked. And she has 2 boys that are grown. They were, well, they're 31 and 35 now. They're grown men. And I always like to tell people how she passed, and tell people had passed away, because people are like, well, what happened? And she died of sudden cardiac arrest, which is very different than a heart attack. It's just, in fact, if y'all can recall, there's an NFL football player that dropped dead in the middle of the game, and that's what it was. So the good news is she felt nothing. She never felt anything. That's no pain, no nothing. So that helps a little bit, and makes my mom particularly feel a lot better. And I also had a big volunteer job, and it was a month away, and I thought, oh, okay. I had to walk my nephews through a funeral and did all that. And I thought, oh, this is okay. I can get through my volunteer job and then deal with all the ripple effects of after this death. And I'm in the week, and it's the week of La Fiesta. So it's a big week. It's 8 events. I'm supposed to speak at all 8 events. And we've worked for over years, a whole team of over 150 people that's worked towards this whole season, and climaxes this week. And I get a call during the La Fiesta meeting. I'm 1 block from my house, and I learned that my childhood best friend had passed away. Didn't wake up. I was like, oh my, and I'm just shocked. So I literally, I normally walk home. I've driven that day, and I get home, and I can't do anything. I just walk around the house, and my dogs just follow me, and I can't sit. I can't cry. I can't do anything. And Watson, my son, works remotely from home, but that was the week he was working at the home office. So I had a completely silent house, and I just walked around for a long time. And then I think I finally called Ken and told him what's going on. So that's the week of. And so I was supposed to speak at all the events, and I did speak. That's one thing I delegated out. It's like, I don't have it in me to do all those. But I did rally and speak at the gala, which was 1,100 people. And that was a first for me, for sure. And I really wanted to be present that day. I didn't want to, not that I didn't want to think about Cheryl and Ann, but I just really wanted to be in the moment because so many people put in so many hours, and you get to be their cheerleader and the fruition of their work. And I just wanted to be that for them and enjoy it too. And what helped is Ann would have said, in her sweet but bossy voice, would say, "You work too hard. I know you need to enjoy this day." And she would have pointed her little finger at me and she says, "I'll be mad at you if you don't." And I can totally see her doing that. And that kind of released it for me to be able to do that. And but then the next morning, wake up at 7:30. I was like, "Ken, we're at the Anto Hotel." I was like, "We gotta go. I've got to go home, write a eulogy." And I knew everybody would understand why I didn't stay and clean up because they knew the story. And of course, I'm writing my second eulogy in 5 weeks. And I built both eulogies on the same quote. It's by Maya Angelou, and it's people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And they were very different eulogies because different relationships, but it was real easy. It was just a natural. I'm glad I had that instead of starting from scratch with Ann that day, the day before the funeral. But so I was thankful for that, and it was really, they were great. I actually like reading Ann's because I had so many childhood memories there, and it makes me feel joy thinking of her. But at Ann's service, I found out after the fact, over 600 people at this service. So I spoke at 1,100 people in less than 48 hours, 600 people. I was like, what the heck? How weird. One's a volunteer job, one's just a friend at a funeral. And as time passed, Ann's passing, I realized I got to just miss my friend. But with Cheryl's passing, lots of responsibility for me, from my mom. And Cheryl's my only sibling. And my dad passed away 10 years ago, and so it's just gonna be me and her. And so as things started unfolding, like all that I needed to do and what all the changes we needed to make and what that was gonna look like, I saw God's hand. I mean, he just brought angels in my life, and just, like, I saw it as clear as day. And I was like, you're with me, Lord, I feel it, and I see it, and you're showing me, you're reminding me of that. But it was lots of change for both of us, for Mom and me both. But my angels I just told her this 2 weeks ago. I said, Meg Salter, I don't know if y'all know Meg, but Meg ended up being an angel because I had ran into her after somewhere, and I was trying to figure out, I need to move my mom. My mom lived in Rockwall, 5 minutes away from my sister. So it was real great and my sister's boy still was living with her at the time. And so they all rallied and saw her day to day, and then I got to pop in once a week, and it's 45 minutes one way, so it's an hour and a half round trip. So once a week I would come in and spend a chunk of the day. So that kind of worked. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, it's time to move on. I don't know where. I don't know if she needs assisted living, independent. I don't know anything. And she told me about this gentleman who walks you through that whole process. And I needed someone to walk me through every step. And then she also said, well, who moved your mom and dad? Her parents are both here. And she goes, it's a mover, and her name's Cheryl. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Okay, little angel from above. And then the next thing is, I'd never lived in Rockwall. And so I was like, okay, who's gonna sell Mom's house? I mean, I don't know. And so Ken remembered of a connection of someone we went to Baylor with, and hooked me up with this great lady named Dell. All right, so Della, do you have an estate person that you recommend? Because I need to clean out Mom's house and all this stuff. She says, yes, it's a girl, and her name's Cheryl. Cheryl's with us, for sure. And of course, a shouts out to Ken. I'll start crying this part. He was just going to say it. I needed always another set of eyes and ears when it came to hearing everything and learning everything, because there wasn't anybody else. And he would rearrange his work schedule. He's great. And then, the other one is Watson, because he was the one that was home all the time. I knew this would be the hard part. Because he just happened, I just needed his presence around. It just felt good to have another body in the home and not by myself through a lot of that season. And even though sometimes we would have the chance to talk, sometimes we didn't, because he would work upstairs and come up and down. Anyway, so those were, and I hesitate to mention one child versus all three, but in case they get to hear this recording someday. But it's just his presence. They were as supportive and loving, of course. I just want to I feel better saying that. Okay, we landed on a place to live 2.4 miles from the house. But my mom and but this is the part where I got scared and I got nervous and I got fearful. And I just, I had my hands out like, here, Lord, here on all this other part. But when it got really scary, I did death grip and I just did not think my mom would want she would be willing to move. She did not show any signs of moving up to this point that she would ever be willing to move. And so long story short, as I go back to my buddy Paul, who's helped me with this whole thing, I said, what do we do? How do I get her to even entertain the idea? And he goes, you're gonna go back to the lady who gave you the tour of the forum, and she's gonna schedule a dinner with these two ladies that have mom's similar personality, and we all are gonna go to dinner. And we did. And mom didn't even know we looked at any places to live. She knew zero. And we're just going to go to dinner. So we take her, we have her dinner, and I'm hoping one of these ladies will let us see her apartment. And they do, they both offer. And my mom walks in and her jaw drops because it's hardwood floors, it's granite countertops, it's decent appliances. I don't know what her preconceived notions were, but it wasn't that. And I had everybody praying for her to have an open mind. I told everybody I knew, just pray for that she at least has an open mind. And so long story short is, she started thinking about it and she goes, if Cheryl was still alive, I wouldn't have to move. I said, you're right, Mom. She was 5 minutes away, you would not have to move. She goes, and the boys, my nephews, it's like, they're busy, they're working, and they're not popping over and as much, but it's because they're busy. I said, you're right, Mom. So she said, so I might as well move by you. I said, yeah, Mom, you might as well. And I was not offended by that. I just was an answered prayer. And despite my controlling of not surrendering to that situation. Okay. This other one is what I did on the video. I'll do it really fast. I asked a favor from a friend, and something had triggered that I thought that made it God's plan for me to do this ask. And I took it and ran, and I felt really confident about it. And then later that day, I started feeling anxious and nervous, and I don't know what it's from. I'm like, well, gosh, I better talk to my counselor about this. I haven't been anxious yet through all this whole process. And then I realized it was about that conversation. And it dawned on me, I didn't really ask God's will for this ask. And I just took it and ran from this one change and took it in matters of my own hands. And then I had to ask for forgiveness. And that was really hard. It was very humbling, and for sure. And finally I got to the point where the next day I was like, you know what? I told my friend, I said, I don't know the solution. I don't know what we need to do. You figure it out. And that day I felt such peace. I slept all night, which is noted because it's more often than not I don't these days, but slept like a baby. And then I realized I got very humbled, and I surrendered the situation. And I surrendered to God, but it was orchestrated to my friend. And God orchestrated that for me to do that. It was all His plan. And to me, surrender had always been between you and God. It's just a between you and God thing. And I know God's like, I can do surrender any way I want to, and I'm going to have you do it this way and teach you something. Like, okay, So it was kind of an aha moment for me, for sure. And then in conclusion, my main thing is when you're got a death grip and you're not, this is my not surrendering motion to myself. You want control, and control and fear go hand in hand. And the scripture that is helping me through this is 1 Peter 5:5-7. It says, clothe yourselves with humility, which is the forgiveness I had to do with God in the previous example was my humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves under God's mighty hand. Oh, and when I was trying to memorize this, I was like, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up, and I have in all caps, in due time. And that's because that's his timing and not ours. And the verse you'll be familiar with, and most of y'all know, is cast all your cares. Some of the translations, anxiety. Cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. So, you know, we just remember you can't surrender until you're humble. And it's that fear and control that go hand in hand that causes you not to be able to do that. But then you get humbled and then you just surrender. And as y'all all know, whatever we're surrendering, we're giving it to God to do it his way, and it's so much better than we can hope or imagine. So that's it.